Hello, everyone. My name is Dan Harrison. I'm your host. You're watching NuPath Live. Today is March 17th, 2022. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone. Um, 2 years ago marked the beginning of this terrible pandemic that we are, I hope, just seeing ourselves through. And I thought that was a significant day on the 17th of 2020 because it was the day we did our first live broadcast to our community. And because it happened to be St. Patrick's Day, I thought it would be fun to don my leprechaun beard and hat. But I probably really wasn't thinking through the severity of the event with the humor, or my attempt at humor, I should say. And according to Sharon Pitts' face, I don't think she was too amused. Although Dan Lannon seemed to, have his standard smirk at it. Anyway, right after that, I took the hat off. But we didn't know what we had in store for us, and it was a lot. Let's face it. Later on, we're going to be bringing Ted Horn on, and he is going to be giving us some updates around capacity stuff. But first, I am so excited to bring my next guest on. Some of you know her, some of you maybe don't. She was an employee at NuPath originally in 2011. She left in 2017 to leave us to take her good skills, and then she's come back to us, the prodigal daughter, back to us. And that person is Angie Cologne. Angie, it is so great to see you.
It is nice to see you too.
I knew you were going to be coming back, and but when I saw you at our business meeting a week or so ago, I was like, "Whoa, it's really happening." I thought maybe it was just, it was just big talk or something. But you're here.
I am back. I am.
So is it nice to be back? I know the families must be thrilled to pieces. You've got so many friends that that you left behind when you went to the other organization. We won't mention which one it was, but was it weird coming back? What's it been like for you?
No, it's not weird at all. It just feels like I'm back home. Everybody welcomed me with open arms, like I never was gone. Everybody sees me, Angie, welcome back, welcome home. So I felt comfortable. There's no words to describe the feeling of coming back. It definitely feels like
so many things I want to talk to you about, but let's just set the stage here for people that maybe don't know you. As I said, you started here in 2011. You left in 2017. During the time that you were here, remind us where you were. Were you at Bradley? No, where were you when you were here before?
So at that time, I was the senior program director. So I had assisting with Doreen's cluster.
Oh, yes. And you did you do Arlington Road? Was that part of your cluster?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. Well, your big claim to fame, among other things, because you raised money for the walk, $1,800. There's a bunch of other stuff, but you spoke at one of our annual celebrations. It was a big deal. I think. Do you remember what year it was?
Oh my God, I think it was 2000 and. I don't know if it was the.
I should have asked a question that I don't know the answer to, but I remember you were nervous, but you were so fabulous. Do you remember the experience?
Yes, I was very nervous, and it was a great experience. It was a lot of people. There were a
lot of people. Was it the one that we had at the Hilton that year?
It was. Yep.
It was up on a stage. It was like a big deal. I just remember you were so fantastic. Did you feel great when it was done? It was over?
Yes, I feel very proud of myself, especially walking from the beginning when I was so nervous. You remember? It was.
Oh my gosh.
And then being on stage and just it flows so well. I felt comfortable.
Oh, yeah. It was such a great share. I'll just never ever forget it. What was the reason that you obviously you left us to take another job with this other organization? Was it more money or was it more responsibility? Would you share with us why you left? Or
sure, not at all. It wasn't nothing to be more money or anything like that. It was more based on me moving from the area.
Oh,
so that was really much what it was.
And so you need to get something closer to where you are. Did you move back then again? So
I moved. Yes, I moved back to this area.
So much has happened since you left in the world when we think about it, because of course the pandemic being, first and foremost in some ways. How did you manage the pandemic? How is your family all right? You've got a little girl, right?
I do.
How old is
So
she now?
she is 7.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe she's that old now. So how did you make out during the pandemic? Was everybody all right in your family?
Yeah, we all been lucky. We kept ourselves safe. I actually got COVID at the
Me
end.
too.
Yeah, a few like 2 months ago. My daughter's been great. My family's been great. So it's just been pretty much me.
What is your next step professionally, do you think? Do you, that's kind of a tough question. If you don't have an answer, I'll understand. But do you see yourself staying in this field for a long time? You're not going to leave us after another couple of years, are you?
No, no. This is the field that I love. I mean, my family, my brothers, my mom still works in this field. So this is something that I grew up in. Seeing, my family members helping others. So no, I don't see myself moving from this field. And I see myself being a NuPath for a long, long time. So I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
I was gone once. I don't want to leave again.
So you could just say you're going to retire here, and that would make me happy.
Yeah,
Even though I
right.
know we can hold you to it.
Right.
Well, and the other new thing is probably NuPath Live. We didn't have this, I don't think, when you were here before. Did we? The weekly
Yes,
broadcast.
it was.
We're doing a
It
lot
was the
more with
beginning of it.
we're doing a lot more with video now. What did you think about their progress with navigating life when you came back? Have you
Oh,
gotten?
it's great. I love it. Every week we're getting from Anne letting us know, hey, your house is doing this well. I'm like, oh, nice. And it's great seeing just the pictures of our, the individuals going everyday life outside. Like it's nice seeing them active, you
One of the
know.
things we're going to start doing is we're going to start to recognize the power users, or the most, those staff that are using it most frequently, or maybe the staff that are using it in the most interesting ways. So they're doing different kinds of, interesting photographs that aren't just the same every single day. Always the same picture of breakfast, always the same, for morning snack or whatever. And so I bet that's another area you might be able to excel. And because I think that you've got a kind of a creative streak, and you've got some really great imagination. So we need all the power users we can get. And we're still trying to. I mean, I can't even think where we were exactly in 2000. I mean, you started 2011. That was even before I became CEO. So that was a long time ago. But it started around 2013. Anyway, now I'm just babbling. Is there anything else you want to say to the NuPath family before we let you go? Just, I don't know. Uh, by way of saying that you're back, or anything you want to say, or do you just want to say goodbye?
No, I just want to say thank you, everybody, for again, I just feel like I never left. And it's great to be back home. That's all I could call it. This is home.
Back home. That's perfectly put, Angie. I love it. Well, you are a sight for sore eyes. I'm so happy you're back. And as if you can't tell throughout this interview, my brain's working in overtime thinking about how we could get you involved in some different ways than from before, because you're a different person now, and we're a different organization. And telling you, I can't have any smart people sitting on the sidelines, just not getting involved with other things. So we need you, and we're gonna look forward to getting you more involved. Angie Colon, thank you so much for being with us today, and welcome back, and welcome home, and we'll talk to you again soon. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Bye bye.
Bye.
That was great to talk to Angie. It's so great to have her back. Um, so part of my reason for wanting to bring Ted on today is because I continue to get almost every week some family member reaching out to me to tell me that their child is still home after 2 long years since the pandemic began, and it's hard to believe when so much of our world seems to be getting back to normal. Ted's going to help us answer some of the questions, but I think it's worth remembering that in the United States, um, we we've had almost 1 million people die from COVID since this thing began, and over 6 million worldwide. That's just so many people. And And even though we feel that things are getting back to normal and people are not wearing their masks and we're trying to get back into old routines, it's worth remembering that in the United States, according to the most recent data, around 2,000 people continue to die every single day of COVID-related illnesses. And I got thinking, if there was a hurricane that came across the United States every single day, killing 2,000 people, that'd be a pretty significant event. And I think we'd all be paying attention. So even though it feels like the rest of the world's getting back to things, we're still dealing with a lot of restrictions, and there's still a lot of things we need to be careful for, especially if you're not vaccinated. Let's bring Ted on and see what he has to say. Ted Horn, welcome to NuPath Live.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Now, you're no stranger to these parts. You've appeared many times. You're an expert in more things that I could think to mention right now. But of course, people know that you've been an employee of NuPath for, what are we up to, 23 years, something like that? Or
something like that. You know, you get a certain age, you start counting.
Would it be safe to say that you've been working here just about half your life?
Maybe that's generous. Sure. We'll go.
Oh, no, you're much older than that. What am I thinking? No. You are our senior vice president of training, of quality and training, and you're also kind of like my go-to guy when I need a really smart person to help me figure something out. We asked you on today because I thought it would be good to check in and see where we are with getting people back. You know, I'm sure many people have been seeing the effects of, more and more of the the precautions around the COVID, starting, no longer using the masks, and it seems like the world's getting back into a regular rhythm and routine. And yet, I got an email, I think it was Monday, from a family member whose son is still not back after 2 years, and they're just desperate. And I felt so terrible for him. And I wondered if you'd come on, we'd talk a little bit about where we are, and for the people that aren't back, why is it that we can't get people back? Because I guess there's still quite a few that are out there. And if I'm a parent, I would be freaking out. Can you talk to us about what's going on and where things are and all that?
Absolutely. Those, as you said, feeling terrible about that. We have a day quality group here at NuPath where all of the directors and management of our day services get together and look right now, given the circumstances, primarily at how can we get people back to our programs who need our programs. And the first thing I want to say is those people who aren't back are not forgotten. The discussion starts with who's not back and what is our status in terms of being able to plan for more people to come back. The complicating factor right now is that we're in a workforce crisis. We remain in a workforce crisis. We have Karen Franklin, our Vice President of Human Resources. She shared with us recently that we still have a 30% vacancy rate.
30% vacancy rate.
30% vacancy rate. Yep. Now, there's good news on that. That we are seeing an uptick. I saw on NuPath Live myself an uptick in the internal referrals, that our staff are referring more and more good staff who are getting hired, and we're seeing that number come down. We're not back to the 12% vacancy rate that we had pre-COVID, but we're working towards that. We're seeing progress, we're seeing positive trends, and we're building upon those trends so that we can capture the momentum. That's the answer to getting everybody back who needs our programs. But we must honor a commitment that if we take somebody back into our services, that we can serve them safely. That the support needs for those people who aren't back yet oftentimes may be that they require one-to-one support within our programs, or they may have extensive medical needs, nursing primarily. And in the crisis that we're in with the vacancies, we can't take somebody back that we can't pledge to that person that will be able to meet their needs and meet their needs safely. they certainly would benefit from our services. However, the safety is paramount. And if they're safe in their current environment, it's best while we work to getting our staffing back to maintain that at this point.
You know, Ted, I think it's kind of a paradox, because when parents talk to me and express their frustration, it's typically the way it goes is my child still isn't back, and they've got a 1-to-1. I don't understand why they can't come back. It seems like it's the staffing of all staffing. It's the gold standard of having a kind of a resource that casual bystander, or not even casual bystander, but somebody connected to the program would say, well, why on earth? But you're saying it's because of the staffing crisis, and people that do require clinically more support in the form of a 1-to-1. It's not so easy if, somebody's out, or, even if you get the staff in. We have staff that they still have, vacation days. They may be sick. And heaven knows during, when we had the Omicron wave, we had all kinds of people out for various periods of time. And that meant that our clients had to be absorbed into other work groups or other areas for coverage. And some people, that's just not a safe thing to do coverage. So,
it's not safe. And when we're faced with inconsistencies day to day, those are the cases that require and benefit most from consistent staffing. And again, in crisis mode, we have to respond on a daily basis. That doesn't mean we're not providing good, solid services. The quality of services is restored. However, the consistency is what's so essential for those, the staff person, ensuring the staff person knows the specific medical needs that may be involved in a certain case, or being able to respond to certain communications that somebody with 1-to-1 supports is exhibiting, to minimize frustration, but also ensure that we can identify the needs as they present to the person on a daily basis.
What would you say, like, if you're, put yourself in the shoes of a family member that's had their child at home for 2 years, and maybe they're going crazy. Their child is just maybe regressing, so unhappy, and all we can say is, oh, it's a workforce crisis, it's a staffing crisis. Is there an end in sight? I mean, what are we able to say anything to family members that are feeling this sense of desperation? We want to get these people back. We need to get them back, but we can't, snap our fingers and have resources out of thin air. I know this is a tough question, Ted, but what would you say?
So the best way I could answer that is to look at the hurdles that we've overcome thus far. Okay. So if we look at it, that right now we have been able to bring back 74% of the people that were with us pre-COVID. If that was the first hurdle, right? Getting over the social distancing, getting over fear of returning, and just getting our base staff back so that we could reopen, which was August of last year. That we're still in a bit of an infancy stage right here of returning. So we're at 74% of our pre-COVID roster. The second hurdle is transportation, because as much as we're in a staffing crisis, the transportation companies are facing the same, if not greater, crisis. Mm-hmm. We have another 8% of our roster waiting for transportation, meaning we have pledged that we can support them. Our doors are open to them, but the transportation presents as the barrier right now. That'll bring us up to 82% of our roster. It's that last 15%. And I say 15% because when we look at our numbers, 97, including the two phases I just mentioned, the 74% and then those waiting for transportation, our total is 97% of our seats are committed to. And that's where it goes back to the people who have not returned. They have not been forgotten. we're still committed to providing supports for them when able. And so that seat is reserved for them. So that last hurdle, that 15%, comes down to the staffing. However, if we look at the progression as we've overcome and gotten over those hurdles, it has shown the positive trend, the momentum. Our staffing has increased each month. Our retention has remained stable, which is important. As we grow and bring our staff and new staff back, we haven't been losing staff. And that's a real positive and testament to, during this time, we heard about the great, resignation. We had some staff leave. What's really positive is hearing the staff that are coming back that saw the grass wasn't greener on the other side, and rehiring good quality staff who we lost. I'll say we lost for a short period of time. But when we get to that last hurdle, as we see each week and each month, more staff being referred and more staff being hired, and we're at our highest hiring activity right now than we were since pre-COVID, where we have 25 people in the hiring process right now, which is something there's no period of time during COVID that we were talking about those kinds of numbers. So we see that momentum continuing to grow. And that's where we now are in a position where we can start talking about how to bring back that last 15%.
I wonder if it would, and maybe it's happening already, but if we were to have somebody reach out to these families, once a week, or just to make a phone call, or, we used to do those wellness calls during when we were locked down. I think families appreciated that, just as a way of telling people, like you say. I've appreciated hearing you say it. If people are watching, they probably appreciate hearing it, that we haven't forgotten you, and maybe we need to do more to remind people of that. This is so, you heard me at the beginning of the broadcast. Today is the 17th. I was thinking about what was happening 2 years ago. The 17th, of course, was St. Patrick's Day. Happy St. Patrick's Day, by the way, Ted.
Thank you.
But 2 years ago, it was right around the time when we had made the decision to close, and we first began to do these broadcasts. In fact, the 17th, it was a Tuesday 2 years ago, and we had a board meeting scheduled, and we had to do it via Zoom. Does it make you just weak in the knees to think about what we've been through in the past 2 years? Would you put it that?
No, but I remember that. I remember that St. Patrick's Day because I think it was one of our first broadcasts, and you came on in costume, and you.
Oh, I did.
Yes.
And it wasn't very funny.
Well, I laughed. I'm still chuckling today. So
I think it was top of the morning to you, laddies.
Yes. Yeah.
Something like. So we've just been through a heck of a lot. But we're looking to the future. Some exciting things coming. Let's touch on that before we run out of time. New in 22 is our theme. We're talking about a bunch of new stuff. People should stay tuned for. We're not going to get too much into it, but one of the things I'm most excited about is our State of NuPath event that we're going to be hosting. I think it's going to be the beginning of May. It's going to be sort of a State of the Union style kind of, in a way, but we're going to be, it's going to be 8:00 at night on the date. We're going to broadcast and really give people a comprehensive idea of all the over things that we're doing. And it's going to feature prominently the master plan that you've been instrumental in developing, which is terrific. And this year we've decided to do a little differently. Do you have time to talk about the process? Maybe just a minute or two.
Sure. Yeah. So the master plan it's been the culmination. You and I discussed this. I think it was really as probably the month before COVID hit us. And we were talking about, we need something deeper. We need something that brings everyone together. And the culmination of the work, the process, is we really looked at the whole agency and looked at how we can bring everyone together to be talking the same language, sharing the same understanding of what our priorities are, sometimes interdepartment competing priorities, so that we can all be chasing the same targets. And that's that shared understanding. I was thinking about it this morning, and it's, we've used a lot of different analogies for it, right? But it's almost, could be described as the sheet music for an orchestra, and it gives us the central understanding, the central guide, so that we are all being conducted in the same way. And, trying to express that, it just, when I look at it, and it's not because I worked on it, because it's had input throughout the agency from many different departments, actually all departments. And there's really a feeling of unity within it. And that I think it'll show through, that it puts the we in "we got this." When we look at it, that we're all speaking.
I love that. It puts the we in "we got this." That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, I get that.
So I don't know. I guess that's a big market tease for tune into the annual state of NuPath.
And what I love about the way we're doing it this year is it's really, you're talking about the we. We're going to be hearing from individual contributors, that have roles in various stages of the plan, and I think that's going to bring it to life in another important way. Ted, we could probably talk for another half hour. You're fantastic. Of course, we're so lucky to have you. And can we just say, as we haven't really talked about it, but I just, on behalf of everyone at NuPath, I just feel so badly about what's going on in Ukraine. Our hearts go out to the Ukrainian people. Of course, I always think about things that, like, I'm sure you do too, Ted, about what is going on with their disabilities community, the IDDD community. I'm not sure what their system's like, but whenever there's some catastrophic, world event, I always think about what would we do if we had something similar. People in our group home. I mean, a pandemic's one thing, but at least we didn't have to worry about destruction of infrastructure and all the rest. But we just send our thoughts and prayers and just hope for a speedy outcome. I don't know how that's possible, but it's just a terrible thing. I just want to acknowledge it. All right, Ted. Hey, happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks again for coming on, and we'll talk to you soon. And we got this. So we got this. And we got this. Thanks, Ted. Bye-bye. Yeah, it was so good to talk to Ted. And if you're a family member watching, I hope it answered a few questions. It may not be the answers that you want, but please know we're doing whatever we can to try to expedite getting your loved one back to work. Well, we're out of time, and I will see you next week. But on our way out, I thought we'd do a little, the senior vice presidents got together. We rehearsed and choreographed a little number in honor of St. Patrick's Day. Thought you might enjoy it. We got this, guys. See you next week, and enjoy this thing that was really hard to do and took a lot of planning. See you next week.